Hi learners, you are welcome to our 14th lesson in science. I hope you're doing well. You're welcome back from the break, and we'll continue our lesson. We are still under the topic light energy, and today I expect that by the end of the lesson you should be able to identify and state the types of reflection and be able to support them with diagrams. So that's the focus of our lesson today. I advise you pay serious attention to the lesson. Now, by way of revision, before the break, in our 13th lesson, we touched on the laws of reflection of light, and then based on the laws, we did some calculation. Now, we stated that the laws of reflection are: one, that the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Two, that the angle of incidence is the same as the angle of reflection. Based on this, we answered some questions. Now, what are the types of reflection? Now, the types of reflection depends on the kind of surface on which the light is incident or the light strikes, whether it is smooth or rough. Now, before we touch on the types of reflection, a quick recap of what reflection means. Say reflection of light is the bouncing back of light as it strikes a polished surface. Now, there is a key word that we must understand. What do we mean by a ray of light or light ray? A ray of light is a single path taken by light. And the diagram is what you see below. So a line is drawn with an arrow indicating a ray of light. Now, another term you must understand is a beam of light. A beam of light is a collection of light rays or group of light rays. And we have several types of beams of light. But for the sake of our lesson, we're looking at a particular one called parallel beam of light. So you can see the diagram consisting of several rays of light traveling in the same direction. Now, with these keywords explained, now let's move on to look at each of the types of reflection. So the first one is what you see on your screen. It is known as a regular or uniform or specular reflection. What do we mean by this kind of reflection? This is a type of reflection in which a beam of light incident on a polished surface, such as a plane mirror, is reflected in the same direction. So the diagram is illustrated below. So you can see the beam of light striking the surface incident to the surface, or move in the same direction as they are reflected. So you can see it. So this is regular, uniform, or specular reflection. An example of a surface that produces such reflection is a plane mirror. Now let's look at the second type of reflection. The second type of reflection is opposite to that of the first type, and it's known as irregular or diffused reflection. It's a type of reflection in which a beam of light incident on rough or polished surfaces such as paper, leaf, clothing, etc. is reflected in different direction. Is reflected in different direction. So the diagram below illustrates diffused or irregular reflection, as you can see. So the beam of light hitting the surface is reflected in different direction because the surface is not smooth, it's rough. All right. So these are the types of reflection of light which you as a learner must be familiar with. So by way of summary, my dear learners, we look at the types of reflection based on the types of surface a beam of light strikes. When a beam of light strikes a polished surface, the beam of light is reflected in the same direction. In other words, the angles of reflection for each reflected ray is the same as the angle of incidence for each incident ray. Then we look at the second type, that's reflected rays as a result of rough surface, and that type of reflection is diffused or irregular reflection of light. Now, there's a change in the assignments posting. It's no longer separated from the lesson, it's attached to the lesson. So after studying the lesson, you now follow with the assignment. And the assignment is what you see. One, we are supposed to distinguish between a ray of light and a beam of light. So by the way of distinguish, I mean you should define a ray of light and a beam of light. You can support them with diagrams. Now I warn you that do not use your phone or your computer to draw any diagram. Use your pencil and your exercise book to draw the diagram with your hand. Because in your exam, you are not going to use laptop or computer or the mobile phone to draw the diagram as in DEC. So take note of that. Number two, explain the two types of reflection in your own words. So use your own words as much as possible to explain the two types of reflections. Support them with diagrams. The diagrams must be drawn with pencil. I repeat, with pencil in a book. Do not use computer or mobile phone to draw the diagrams. If you do that, you will score 0. All right. I wish you the best, and I pray you do the right thing. See you next time. Bye-bye.